Is
Oh,
the
I've
audio?
got to put the recording on. I want to
Oh,
record you. This is fantastic. Record us. This is such magic.
okay.
So I'm glad I remembered. So you're going now, you're starting on the first notes, right?
So the first note, so what I wrote down as to what for me the purpose of session one was to set the tone. So like I said earlier, I really felt a tone of sobriety, but also play, to just kind of set the tone for the program as a whole. And then to establish the foundation of the listener as a good person, really clarify their intent and discover what is meaningful and significant to them specifically. And the overarching idea that kept kind of coming up in my head for session one was establishing the participant of the program as what I kept thinking of as an archaeologist of self.
Wow! Beena, put that down in the notes.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
So to explain kind of where my mind was at on this, I wrote down just quickly kind of a description of what I was seeing. So the idea was that an archaeologist digs around in the dirt and the muck looking for things that are precious. And if you come across something that someone else might see as just a jumbled mess of clay pieces or bones or ruins or whatever that someone else sees and thinks, I have no idea what this is, or this isn't valuable, the archaeologist can see the bigger picture and they see the true intent and purpose of that thing. So their job is to clean away all of the dirt, all of the ick, to repair the damage that's been done and meticulously reassemble that discovery and restore it to its original purpose, so that anyone who looks at it knows exactly what its intent is. And that's really what we're doing with ourselves in this program, which is why I was saying archaeologist of self. We're stripping away all of the dirt and the yuck and the shoulds and all of that stuff, everything that we've kind of taken on to be part of ourself that's not really real and true to us. And we're really consciously reassembling ourselves and doing it in a way that it becomes eminently clear to anyone who sees us what our purpose is.
And the more
Perfect.
of us.
Right.
Perfect.
So that was, to me, that was like the overarching idea that I kept putting behind question one, was establishing that idea.
Yes. So just for me to do a recap on and share again my takeaway of what you're doing, or just to say, this conception of the archaeologist of self, and that's in the Dictionary of Power, right? It's in the Dictionary of Power, I'm assuming. Archaeologist of self.
Yes, I have the term archaeologist. Yes, yeah.
Okay. I love that. But, the full term archaeologist of self with hyphens. It's a new conception.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah. So as an archaeologist of self, what we are doing is we are exploring and discovering the depths of ourselves, and we are clearing away the debris to reveal what is precious to us.
Absolutely.
To reveal those elements which, when all are revealed, reveal the moreness of ourselves.
Right. Absolutely.
Okay. That's an appropriate takeaway of what you were saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, that's very exciting. That is a magical concept. And this ties into something really profound because, and I do try and make this clear as much as I can. The way of impeccability is not, it's very obviously not a belief set. It's a set of tools, right? And as such, they are self-evident sensibilities. And our objective is not to say this is what you should do, this is not to replace one should with another, but for you to discover your own treasure.
Right.
And that's the key. So this archaeologist of self, this is very profound because we are exactly going to do that self-discovery and cleaning away and polishing and fine-tuning to take those elements and put them together, and through that say, here's my more. To create and reconnect to the moreness that's always been there. Yes?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. Love this. This is right there we could say, yeah, that's if we stop today, right there, that would be enough.
Awesome.
That's for the entire
No, We are waiting for more.
I don't mean just for the sessions. I mean for the entire way of impeccability.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, oh, wow. Because it's so
Hello.
profound that if taken to its
Yes.
maximum, it you extrapolate it and you apply it and you actually do this on a regular basis. This is what the way of impeccability is all about. All right, we're going to just speed it up and say, okay, we're going to get out our little bristles and our little trowels and our little scraping tools, and we're going to develop all those tools. But yeah, right there, that's it.
And just by you sharing this term, this archaeologist of self, uh, because I already have done all the modules and we were in discussion, so I know that I'm already, my mind is already making connections to other concepts. Like, okay,
Oh,
it
cool.
could be that, yes, it might be a catacomb tour because we have a lot of ideas. Because there are so many, so many conceptions and ideas in way of impeccability, which you will read, you will know later on, and you will make connection to this. And I will, okay, I will repeat it when these ideas will come, and we will say, okay, now it connects to that term again, the way of the archaeologist of self, and you will. I think that I'm going to add this catacomb tour of self in my Power Dictionary also. Thank
Museum.
you, thank you, Erica. You're doing really well.
Right.
That's
Yeah. Instead of catacomb, maybe
So,
just say museum, because catacomb, museum.
Sir, I'm saying that catacomb because we have this concept that from where we get our ideas, from
Oh,
parents, from
cool.
legacy, and all these things. So that's why I'm saying that, because Erica's term actually make connection to all these things. So
Yeah.
that's why I'm saying that.
Yeah. A lot of what we have
Mostly,
comes
yes.
from dead sources, in other words.
Yes, yes, yes. So that's why I'm saying that. And Erica, it's a really powerful idea what you got. So please carry on. Please carry on. First share, then we can go on. You know that we can go on for hours.
Yes,
So please.
I know. Me too. Okay. So let's see what else. So that was kind of a key concept that I had written down for session 1, was this idea of archaeologist of self. I also had within my repeat backs that a key concept here was to not only study the material, but truly come to know and feel it and allow it to penetrate us so deeply that it can actually change our habits and strip away the concepts that have become ingrained as part of our should identity.
Wow. Say that again in a different way.
So we have to allow the concepts of the program to really become a part of us, not only to just study it and to know it, but to really feel it and be it. And that in that way, we will be able to actually change our actions and our habits.
Wow. Now another time, but this time from I have done, and then colon I have done. Say it personally. What have you done in this? Re-express that same point, but from an internal I have perspective.
Let's see. I have changed my conceptions and ways of being in a way that I am rebuilding myself consciously through my habits and actions.
You can stop right there again. You really make me cry, Erica, because it's so good. Because you're getting what the intent is and you're just taking the intent to the maximum. And it's the application in this, what you just shared. This is the power term of application. This is precisely what you just elucidated. Not only articulated, but elucidated. Application. That's what you're talking about, right? That paragraph that you just shared, that there's 3 times now. You were sharing application according to Erica. Yeah? And what we are going to be doing as we go through this application. Wow. I mean, it's like you have the totality of this conception, not just understood, but you are taking it in where you're saying, I'm doing this.
Right.
It's not that you're going past that point of intellectual understanding and being aware of what it means to saying, what do I need to actually make it make a difference? Right?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Application, because that's what it's all about, right? Everything we're going to be doing from now on is geared towards application. Yes, we're going to start with understanding and discernment, but it's all in the end, it's about application, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That was something that I really got a sense of in module 2 as well, was the importance of, I know there was a lot of talk of demonstrating, not just understanding, but demonstrating the concept, about how important that is, that it's not enough to just know something. We really need to do it. And I kept thinking, I kind of got this idea of, like the phrase knowledge is power, that only goes so far, because if you don't know how to use your power, then it's worthless. So you really need to take it further. And I wrote down, if knowledge is power, then demonstration is triumph. You
Wow. Whoa. We got to stop right there. Beena, you're writing that down. If knowledge is power, then capital D,
Yes.
is triumph.
Yes.
If knowledge is power, then capital D, demonstration, is capital P. That's huge. That's huge. Exactly. That's a ballet quote right there, too.
True. Yeah.
That's a total ballet quote.
That's true. But yeah, that was
the ballet. We're going to leverage the ballet.
Yeah, I love that. That was a real undercurrent to me in both of the sessions, was really driving home the concept that it's not enough to just study the material. You really need to make it a part of you and find ways to take action on it.
And feel it.
Yeah.
If you don't feel the ballet, the ballet is all about feel, isn't it?
True, yeah.
And it's a feel about that power. To demonstrate that power. Isn't that the whole point of ballet? Is to demonstrate the power of feeling.
Right. And that's true. I mean, you could study ballet, you could study all of the moves of ballet, but until you do it, you're never going to really demonstrate it well. So yeah.
Exactly.
You have to take it beyond just the knowledge.
And we are going to take this to the full ultimate. And part of later on in the thing, there's this the module on self-proving. And this is very so we are not only going to demonstrate it, but we are going to apply it in such a way that we prove to ourselves through external validation that yes, this is something that we own. It is.
Right.
Because I can do ballet in my apartment over here in the back room over there and think I'm a wonderful ballet.
Right.
But then I go on stage and it's a different deal. So, we need to get that external validation, that objective validation, which is important, right? And of course, I don't intend to be, but at least that I have an idea that my perception is accurate according to what it is objectively. And this is a powerful thing. So that's huge. Yeah. Demonstration. I like that word. A demonstration as a cousin, as a marriage partner to application.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's demonstration goes in the dictionary of power, yes?
Yes, it's in there.
Oh, fantastic. I was assuming, but I was so yeah. Oh, carry on, please.
Okay, so then the last key concept that I had written down from session 1 was something that I think I had this in my takeaways too, something that is really important to me, something that always stands out to me, was the idea that we need to remember that we can always learn something from any experience, whether it turned out the way we wanted it or we're expecting it to or not. We need to go into it with the idea that there's always a lesson to be learned. There's always something positive that you can take away. That is so powerful to me. And that's something that I really believe in my core. Yeah. So I had that written down, that always remember the lesson can be found in both the highs and lows, successful battles and perceived losses as a spirit warrior. and that while strategy and planning are powerful tools, adaptability is just as important, if not more. You can plan, and planning is great, but you also have to be able to change and adapt and, figure out how to overcome. So that was the last key concept that I had written down for that.
That's huge. That's huge. And we have a particular session from now on called the Erica session. And you'll see when it comes. It's called Insisting on Extracting the More.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
It's just all about that. Just the focus is on that one sentence. We deconstruct it, insisting on extracting the more.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Yeah.
Exactly what you were just saying now, right? To sum it up in one line, it's to insist on extracting the more. There's always more to be extracted, and we have to insist on that.
Right. Absolutely.
That's huge.
Absolutely. And I added adaptability to my dictionary of power.
You added what?
I added adaptability to my dictionary of power.
Because adaptability falls under the entire way of impeccability is founded on the A+ philosophy. And the apex of the A+ philosophy is appropriateness.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Now, appropriateness, of course, includes adaptability, but it also includes fluidity and flexibility and understanding what your motivations are, your goals, and also the context, right? So it's all of that. But yes, the point and purpose of developing and enhancing our awareness is to enable us to be more appropriately appropriate.
I love that. Yeah.
This is what the whole way of impeccability is all about. It is to leverage our adaptability, our fluidity, and our flexibility. And of course, our awareness, our tools, our competence, our understanding, our discernment, our awareness, all of this to leverage us, in other words, to be more appropriately adaptable.
I love that. Yeah.
Have that flexibility and fluidity. Not only that, we're going to go even further to take it to even further conceptions, such as anticipation.
Mm.
So not just adapt as a reaction, but
preemptive.
Yeah. Look ahead, to extrapolate, to be strategic, to cue, for us to be in charge. I know a warrior always chooses their battlefield, for instance, right?
Right.
So, and simple things, like I was saying to you, when you go to meetings, be there first, always.
Right.
You remember that?
Yes, absolutely.
Apply that a few times, I thought, right?
Yes, yeah, I agree.
Makes a big difference. So we are going to the ultimate, where we are saying, in essence, that our adaptability is going to be preemptive. We're in control.
I like that. Yeah, I really like that.
This is really massive.
Erica, I have a couple of questions.
I'll be back in one moment.
Okay.
Oh yes. Okay. I have some questions.
Sure.
It might not be the case for you, but as we are just here, and especially asking for you to share your ideas. Yes, it is about you also, but just as an observer, when you were saying the first few questions or just few instructions to say out loud, yes, I am a good person, deliberately I'm a good person and typically a sensible person. What was your feeling at that time as an observer and as Erica also?
Let's see. So I had made some notes about that. So I thought, my dog's having a cow. I thought that it was a really powerful exercise. One thing that I had made a note of was, and I don't remember what all the terms were, but some of the terms in that slide were very, they are, how do I want to say this? They're complex, right? They carry a lot of meaning, a lot of very specific meaning to this particular program. So it's things that I was familiar with from Syl's perspective, knowing what his definition of that meant because of our past history. But I wondered if someone who had never participated in something like this would really know. So like one of them was sobriety. And, if someone saw
diligence, discernment.
Right. If someone saw that not knowing that it was meant as the definition that we typically use rather than like not drinking alcohol or something, would they actually know what the intent was there? And by saying, you know, I am sober or whatever, is that going to give them the same power that it would if they really knew the intent behind it? So I had a note there on, you know, some of the terms used in that would it be helpful to define those or offer some kind of definition prior to that slide, or you know, because if we're using those terms to establish that the person is a good person, if they're answering, if we're being asked to answer, do you agree with this, or you know, will you say yes to this? And if your answer is, well, I'm not sure, you know, I'm not sure what's meant by that, then is it as powerful in terms of establishing yourself as a good person? So it was just a note that I had on that slide. But I do think I think it's so powerful to verbally say out loud, yes, I agree with this. Yes, I am a good person. Yes, I, you know, want X, Y, Z. I thought that was a really powerful exercise.
Okay. At any time, you had any kind of hesitation or just a pause that, okay, oh, do I have to say that with full honesty, with full impeccability?
I did not, but I think again, part of that.
I was expecting from you.
Yeah,
I was expecting from you. Yes, you would not.
Yeah, I did not. But again, I think part of that may be because I felt confident in my understanding of the material.
Yes.
And someone who's brand new might go, oh, you know, I'm not really sure. For me, I had no question. But yeah, I could how people.
I still take a pause when I say that. Okay, I'm typically a sensible, good person. I'm deliberately. I'm not going to do anything bad. So I always just recall, just in a iota. I just recall everything in my life. Oh no. Okay, now I can say that, because for me, I take it really seriously. It's like an ode to myself. So I say that whenever I repeat that, I actually take it as an oath that, okay, I'm claiming that. So that's why I always just take a bit of, always still mention that. And he laughed at Beena, you are pausing. And I do pause there. Every single time I do pause that, because I actually take it. This is in the first time when I was doing that. I'm sharing this because I really want to know, because I need two perception from you. One as an Erica, one as an observer. Just having no idea about. So because I know that you can do that. I know really well that you can do that.
Very powerful what you shared. Very powerful.
Yeah.
Let me make a quick comment on what Erica was saying about the terminology and the specific words and perception and how it might be potentially not appropriately perceived. Yes. Erica, I know we you know, because of prior interactions that you did have that opportunity to, or at least you came from it from an appropriate conception and you had confidence in that. Somebody who doesn't necessarily, it doesn't matter, because in the first takeaway session like this, we're going to go over that. And hopefully you are going to be in a session where somebody else comes on and gives their perception.
Yeah.
You're going to hear and you're going to see, because I do feel you are going to some degree, you know, as we go along more and more, you're going to be doing what Beena is doing now. Shift from being a participant to being a co-facilitator.
Right.
I very much see this. So when you'll see them, like you said, doing it from my perspective, it's a very different thing. And you're going to get to a point in time where you are going to be doing it from my perspective, right?
Right, yeah.
Now, when we see somebody come on and you hear their takeaway, you're going to hear what they say, that, okay, the terminology isn't so fluid. And then we can go in and say, okay, what did this mean to you? And they're going to show. And then we get to update the definitions, but we can do so in customizing it to them, make it pertinent and relevant to them. So it doesn't matter what we do in the beginning. That's why we say 95% is in the takeaway session. No matter how perfect you write something, everybody's going to interpret it.
Right.
We have
Absolutely.
to check that. And I was just going over this with Donna. I'm quite happy with the way the online content is,
Mhm.
but I see it has tons of opportunity for misinterpretation, misunderstanding, misangling.
Right.
So this is why when you said you leaned or you connected, you felt the intent of it. That's the important point.
Yeah.
Not words, but the intent. That's the idea. That's what's important, that energy of intent. And from there, once the intent is perceived appropriately, then we can work on tweaking the details.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
customization.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So some of it is also, it will give me, for instance, that word sobriety. I
Mhm.
know, and it's deliberately in there, precisely because it could be misperceived. So
Right.
if you hadn't brought this up, now I know we've talked about sobriety, but I will at some point ask about words like that to see where it's at. So
Mhm.
it lets me know if somebody doesn't mention it, that then I have to sort of make an effort to say to them, look, what you need to get in part of the takeaway sessions is to bring up all those questions, like for instance, sobriety, to say, I wasn't sure. You need to mention what you're not sure of. You need to bring it
Right.
up.
Right.
So it lets me know where people are at as well.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So very powerful. So almost that
Yes.
first module is
So,
almost like an interview.
Yeah. True. Yeah.
You've done interviews
uh,
when you're the interviewee. When you
Yeah.
interview jobs, right? So sometimes you want to kind of see where they're at. You don't want to give them all the information. It's like,
That's baseline. Yeah.
are they asking questions? Are they bringing up points but saying, whoa, you know what? This thing didn't make sense here. If you're not prepared to stand up and say it didn't make sense,
Right.
well, it says a lot about you, right?
That's very true. That's very true.
So some of that is in there as well.
Yeah. That's very true.
what Sil shared here, and also about this mini oath, we just say that, okay,
Yeah.
saying out loud.
Yeah.
This practice is actually the intent behind that. One of the intent behind that, to make it seems like a simple thing. When people say, okay, yes, it's a kind of childish, because I know who I am. Why I have to say that out loud? Because I was thinking, what I was doing that? He was saying that, yes, we are not in a nursery anymore. So why we are saying that? But 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 the results and the intent behind that, because it makes you in a position where you actually ask yourself questions,
Right.
and no matter a person is not responding at that level at that moment, but later on definitely going to, because that is the thing which will comes up again and again. So now you have all the clarity of this intent behind that, what Sil shared with you. So now what you feel about that, because I really want to focus that, because this is the core foundation of Way of Impeccability modules.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to set the tempo and the mood and the theme of this whole course.
Right.
So what do you feel now about that?
I
Yeah,
felt,
asking you for your perspective now.
yeah, I really felt while going through it that it was really powerful. And I think that's really interesting, getting the perspective of it being used as a tool to gauge where the person is and kind of try to understand maybe what they're struggling with. That's really interesting. But I think saying things out loud, even if it's something that we think we know, is really powerful. Because it does, if it's kind of what you said, Beena, that if you pause and really think about it, on the surface, it may be something that you think you obviously believe, but if you're pausing and going, well, then it's really powerful to affirm that out loud. And something that I had written down, I remember from session 2 that I really liked, was the conception of train your brain. I think that is so powerful. And to me, affirmations and oaths are a huge part of that, saying it. And even if it's like, this is, I already know that, I know I'm a good person, whatever, really saying that out loud, consciously repeating it continuously, making it a habit to say it, affirm it, is really, really powerful.
To say it with intent.
Mm-hmm. True, yeah. Yeah.
And does it make any connection to your previous existing ideas and conceptions and perceptions about life in general and about yourself?
Hmm. That's a really good question. So it does, and it's interesting. Your question about whether or not I had any pause or anything when I was going through it is interesting because I didn't.
Not really, not necessarily a pause, Erica. Could be that, oh, this is what I have been doing all my life. Okay, yes, it makes sense to me. Absolute sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Might be the case for you because what I feel, which might be the case for you.
Yeah, and I think to me that was, I mean, I didn't really think about it necessarily at the time as something that I really didn't question, any of the statements.
Yeah.
That's huge. That's what Beena's getting at.
Right. It's and it's interesting that you brought that up because now that I'm thinking about it, I'm realizing that I didn't at all question, whether any of that.
Wow. Yes, I was expecting that.
Which
yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and that's interesting to me because I'm realizing, I think that, and I think maybe that's why I felt such a powerful connection to establishing yourself as a good person in the very beginning of season 1, because to me, I mean, in the past, I have struggled with self-confidence in many areas. I'm not, I have not historically been someone that harbors a lot of self-confidence, but something that I obviously, since I didn't have any question at all in agreeing with any of these statements, something that I truly consider to be a part of me to my core is being a good person.
It was taken as a
given.
Yes.
Right.
And paradoxically, in Erica's case, this has caused lack of confidence.
Right. Yes.
When
I can see that.
Indisputably know that you're a good person, it brings up problems of strategy and interactivity with the world around us.
That's true.
Owning that and applying that, which is the problem. So it's the problem of strategy, not of owning your goodness. It's a problem of expressing it and communicating and demonstrating that goodness appropriately.
Interesting.
Yes, appropriateness would be the most huge concept for a person like you, Erica, in my understanding, because sometimes really good, earnest people, they do more because of their goodness, because of their integrity. They do a lot, and people just conceive it as a totally different and opposite, and they try to believe them and try to take advantage. So it is that being appropriate is a really huge concept. For me, it was also in many ways. Being appropriate is not like, okay, it's just take out all the guilt and everything. Why I was asking these questions? Because I was actually trying to explain your term, the archaeologist of self.
Right.
Yes. So this is a huge term, Erica, and thank you so much for that, for sharing that. And okay.
So in this case,
what about the?
Sorry, Beena. One second. In this case, this archaeology, it's not about necessarily. Yes, typically archaeology, they find broken shards of pottery and broken treasures. But in this case, it's more like the archaeologist who is discovering Tutankhamun's tomb. Different. Discovering something that is precious and that is excellent and good and is whole and complete. We are now just opening it up and revealing it and making it known to the world. Of course, we are literally doing that as an archaeologist. When you have to have a lot of strategy and you have to share that thing appropriately and guard it and all that, right? It's different ways of being an archaeologist, different discoveries that you make, right?
True.
Sometimes that moreness is in pieces and it's broken shards. Other times, discovering this temple underground or inside the pyramid or wherever, right? And I think in Erica's case, this is very obvious. The archaeology is not about about, shards and broken things and putting it together and then, building something. No, we are uncovering this completeness. Yeah.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Erica, one more question about breaking the habit, fighting the habit, and also about the feeling. Have you tried anything particular when it comes to fight the habit, the pattern?
Which habit, which pattern, or any habits, any patterns?
Any habit, any habit.
That's a good question. Let's see. I'm trying to think of a recent habit that I've tried to change. So something, okay, this is kind of a trivial example, but something that I think works for me in trying to break a habit is unsurprisingly, a balance of consistency and spontaneity. Having something, that is a consistent, like, forming a new habit. We're going to do this every time. We're going to replace this with something different, but also being able to throw in something that's just different enough that it keeps your interest and kind of keeps you
Yes.
That has seemed to be a combination that works for me.
What you're talking about there is capital P practice.
Yeah, I like that.
Precisely what practice is. You're repeating something, but you're doing it just so differently because the point of practice is to optimize, to maximize.
Right.
So you have to have this, because it's never quite right until you get it right, and then you can stop practicing. But that's always that little change, is to say, how can I do it better? How can I improve on it? How can I change it? It also keeps us interesting, because some of practice is just to also, we repeat the same thing over and over for the point of making it innate.
Right.
So that's what you just described, that consistency, but the difference is exactly, or spontaneity and consistency together. This is precisely practice. And it is what we do in these takeaway sessions. We are practicing the application of everything. One of those is the practice of expression and communication. So I have a couple of little housekeeping points just that came up that I made a mental note of to repeat here, just to say, and also groundwork for future. One is the word you were looking for earlier is layered.
Layered, okay.
You said there were concepts in the module that are, and you were looking for the word, the concept, the word is layered, right? They are layered concepts. And pretty much anything in the Dictionary of Power is a layered concept. Very, very multi-layered. Not only layered, but also connected. They all connect to each other, right? But they are very layered concepts, yes. And not everybody is going to connect to that layered first.
Right, yeah, absolutely.
Yes. So with some...
no, please continue. I
was just going to say, with some people, Erica, you are doing the course the way it's intended, the program the way it's intended. I truly, I don't mean to be funny about it, but not everybody is in a space of being where they are able to do what you are doing. So with some people, it requires us to do module 1, session 1 with them, or all the modules with them, precisely because we are sharing it together and we can have that real-time connectivity for them, because I know the layeredness isn't there, right? The action, and I know it's not there, so okay. So that's so different strokes for different folks, but that's why you are at, because the program is intended for someone like you. And that's what I said. To me, what we are about, it is not educating Erica. It is not fixing Erica. It is not even changing Erica. It is maximizing Erica. Very different conception. It's all there. We are now just going to optimize and maximize it. Very different, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
To be strategic in this too, to appropriately maximize and optimize.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's inherent in the term, right? I already see this magicalness, from the very first moment I saw it, man alive, wow. Wow. And this is not an unusual thing. You can ask Beena. It's just, I don't know, it's one of my abilities or talents or whatever you want to call it, to see that moreness of people,
Yeah.
I practice it. I make an effort to do so. But every time, you see it, and you've shared me seeing this moreness, and you see more and more how it comes out now. It's very different for different people, but with you, it was always there, so obvious. And that's what I said. It's an inadvertent problem causing. When you have moreness and you don't know what to do with it, this causes problems.
I love that, because I totally feel that, but I've never heard that articulated before. So I love that.
So when it comes to articulation, and we are practicing articulation, we are practicing expression of ourselves.
Right.
One thing that we can do especially is know that we are practicing to express ourselves, which means we have license to be inaccurate. We have license to stumble, to pause, to say it poorly, and we have license to repeat, to say, okay, that came out, that didn't come out quite the way I intended. Hang on, let me say that again. You have license. You are required, as it were, to pause and say, hang on, let me say that again, and to re-express it, to practice, in other words, and to say it in a different way, to re-express itself.
Yeah.
Furthermore, you have license to have dead time.
We have license to have what?
Dead time.
Dead time. Okay, I like that.
Like dead air time. It's okay to have dead air time here, right?
Yeah.
So in other words, you can replace that. Every time you're saying so or you can just replace it with silence. And you can put up a finger of thinking, whatever it is for you, and then we know, and we'll make space, and we'll wait. In other words, the application of power pause is something that we are going to very deliberately practice.
Yeah.
Make space for you to think it through, and you can say, like Donna does this, she says, hang on, I got to think about this. And there'll be long silence, and we'll just wait and wait.
Right.
And then she's working, and there's no hurry, and okay. And then she comes back, and it's fantastic. It's really powerful. So we don't have to fill those dead silences, the dead with a so or an It's a very powerful habit, not only here in this context, but just in general, like in the professional.
Yeah.
Or you can cut out so and and when you take that power pause, it's very powerful. Oh, they're actually thinking about stuff, and people you. Yeah. But we have to practice that and be comfortable with making people, because us as natural, earnest, good people, we tend not to want to be inconsiderate. So we think when we're making people wait, I'm making them wait, I'm being inconsiderate. No, it's only a few seconds.
Right.
Our internal time clock is not the same as external. So
yeah,
that's a nice habit to change right now. When you're not sure, just okay, I'm now sure about what I want to say. Even if you wish, rehearse your sentence ahead of time. Think it through. How do you want to say it? Take your time. We're in no hurry, and we are going to ask you to repeat the stuff anyway. Higher session, I want to do, like right now, I want to go back to where you started and hear it all again. Seriously, I really but we have more to say. Yeah. I want to hear it. It's so magical to me. I want to hear it again.
Right. Yeah.
Beena, the other
Erika, second part is sorry. Please continue.
Housekeeping. Pay attention to Erika. There was a little moment earlier when I said about what was the point that I made? That you were busy. It was something that wow, and you dropped your head a little bit and you were going inside like that. But we moved on too quickly. So just to pay attention to those internalizations when somebody's grabbing a point and assimilating it and let it filter through and say, I didn't think of that before, and the implications were running through your head. To make space for that and to wait and hold and not say anything until we see all those implications filter into the body and the person has filtered through and worked it in. Because if we move to the next point, that impact tends to get lost. So something we
Okay. I'll pay attention because I might be taking notes at that time. So well, maybe. Okay.
I'll just say
Erika. Yes.
No. Yes? I'll just say 1 sec, Beena, in case you just to pause you.
Okay. Okay, Erika. The second part of my question about feeling. When we say that, okay, you have to feel everything, otherwise it's all meaningless. Does it make any impact on you when you were reading that? And do you have any connection, your own takeaway about that?
Absolutely.
1 second. I want to just adapt. The quote that Beena is referring to is the quote that says, "We have to feel everything, otherwise the world loses its sense." So if I'm understanding what you're asking, Beena, it is you're asking for Erica's connectivity, perceptions, interaction with that particular quote, yes?
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was one of the main key concepts that I had as a big takeaway from the first session, was that concept of, it's not enough to just study the material or know it. We really have to feel it. And I did definitely connect with that a lot. One of the things that I love, which I'm trying to remember if it was in session 1 or 2, but the concept of really making something your own in order to, really, that's a big key part of feeling something, is a way that we, one way that we can really feel something is to make it our own by sharing it, bringing it back.
It's the only way, really.
Yeah.
Not real if it's not yours.
Right. So that was a big, I had written that down in part of my takeaways as well, was how powerful that is to, and I completely believe that and feel that in order to really connect with something in a way that you can share it and make it yours, you have to feel it. You have to figure out how, and I think it's so powerful, the idea of the way that you make it your own is by repeating that back and almost teaching it to someone else. You becoming the teacher of that concept makes it your own.
Yes, that's the self-proof I'm talking about.
Right, yeah.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Rika. My takeaway on your takeaway now, because yes, it is my time to share my takeaway about today's your takeaway. Rika, you just it's kind of like, I can say that it is overwhelming, because you got the intent, the most important part and the critical part of that, to grab that intent behind that, this way of impeccability whole course and concept itself. Because otherwise, if a person can get and perceive that intent directly and in totality, because you got it really in fullness, in totality.
There's more to come. Erica's just...
Oh yes, of course. No, but in just 2 modules, I'm just talking about this.
I mean, it's starting in the sharing of a takeaway, or because this is what you on your notes, if I understand it correctly, these were the points that jumped out at you, right? That you're sharing now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So it is really amazing that you got this intent behind that, because now I can we are just looking for that, if a new person come and he or she will see that, will get this intent, because the intent is the foundation, the real foundation of this way of impeccability. And the intent itself is a huge concept in way of impeccability too. And other than that, what I feel, it is like you got it almost at fullness, because the first sessions are seems like quite simple, though it's not, but it seems like a bit simple. Oh yes, we are reading things, we are saying that things, but yes, you got it fullness almost in totality. I just love that. For me, why I'm saying that and why I'm wrapping it up for me, because if we were just I was calculating the time. So we started at 35 and now we are at 32. So for me, it is quite balanced in that in 1 hour you shared your takeaway, and self was interacting with you also. And now the wrap up time. So I got your takeaway. It's a really profound one. Yep.
No, we're looking at
What?
2 hours, not 1 hour.
I'm just talking about her time. So it is for me perfect timings. And now you have 2 minutes.
Right. But I don't want to make this. It's not a set time limit. I just, asked me, what, normally, we can go on for very long and we want to be cognizant and conscious of your time. But usually we focus the takeaway sessions around 2 hours. So we're only halfway now. So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And something that you
but we can do that in 1 hour also. I'm just checking that. We can do that. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And something that you said, Beena, reminded me of one of my kind of big picture takeaways from both of the sessions, which I ended up adding to my dictionary power, was the concept of simplicity and how powerful simplicity is. That's something that we take for granted a lot. You think that by something being simple, that it's not deep or it doesn't have a lot of meaning or contribution, but that simplicity to me is an incredibly powerful thing, partly in this context, because when something is simple, to me, it indicates that it's inherently obvious what its intent or purpose is. And that's really powerful. If it's simple enough.
It's a sophistication.
At it, and say, I know exactly what this is for, or how to use it, or what its purpose is. That's really powerful.
Yes. This is the sophistication in this whole modules.
Yeah.
Wow. Yes. Beautiful, Donna. Well, sorry, Donna is just like, okay, in our everyday conversation, so we just keep saying her name again and again, and you might, you know her.
Yes, we have been on several sessions.
So you know that. So the Donna is like, okay, whenever we want to, even when I'm talking to Sil, I'm sometimes say, okay, listen, Donna, this is what is happening.
Right. Donna likes the simplicity.
Okay.
Yes. So the simplicity, the power of what you were saying there is to very clearly and consciously understand that when it comes to the magic and the power of simplicity, it is when we deliberately, consciously, in full awareness, connect to what the simplicity actually means, to not take it for granted.
Right.
That is, and this is our term when we say we make the obvious obvious.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's important to make the obvious obvious, especially with simplicity. When we make that obvious obvious, that's when we can use that power deliberately.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Huge point. All right. So, Erica, you were sharing overview takeaways, yes?
Yeah. So I think we covered all of my repeat backs and takeaways from session 1. So on session 2, I had the purpose to me of session 2 was to provide more detailed information about how a person should conduct themselves, for lack of a better term, throughout the program and what's expected, and to build further on clarifying intent for the program and beyond. And some of the key concepts that I had in my repeat backs were that demonstration of a concept is true knowledge and mastery. It's not enough to say that we know it. We must be able to show that we do and take action. This is how we change our habits and shape ourselves into the people that we consciously want to be. That was...
read that again, please. Sorry. I just love this.
Absolutely.
Now I feel like I'm doing the program, and this is why I keep saying, it's not you doing it from us or me or whatever. Right. No, we do it together.
Right. Absolutely. Well, and I really love the concept of the repeat backs because, like I said, I think it's really interesting to see what everyone's perspective is on a simple statement.
Yes. Say that last what you read. Okay. It was so I want to hear it again.
Demonstration is I don't know why I keep saying that. Demonstration of a concept is true knowledge and mastery. It is not enough to say that we know it. We must be able to show that we do and take action. This is how we change our habits and shape ourselves into the people that we consciously want to be.
Wow, what we consciously want to be, yes, with deliberation.
Mm-hmm.
So that entire paragraph there can go as, if you were to say, the concept of deliberate living.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
You know, the dictionary of power concept of deliberate living, right there. That could be the, you know, the fuller explanation of the concept of deliberate living.
Yeah, I like that. I'm adding deliberate living to my power conceptions.
I love that. I love that. I love that. Oh,
Yeah, I really like that. I love the I always enjoy your wrap up of something. Get into this and that, I mean, to me, that is simplification of something, right? You're taking this concept and simplifying it into a little nugget of
two things. I'm doing something else as well. I'm actually packing it.
Mm-hmm.
Cabinet file. You know what a cabinet file is, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So these power conceptions, they are cabinet files. They are self-telling stories. They're self-unpacking conceptions. So this is what I try to do. I try and take all of the complexity and pack it up into a simplicity, but a particular simplicity, a simplicity which, if you just water it a little bit, if you give it a bit of energy, if you just let it unpack itself and think it through, it will be self-telling. It will be self-evident.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this is something that, so in other words, I think of those dictionary of power terms as being fractal conceptions.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Like cabinet conceptions.
Yeah.
Very important. So that's what I really make that effort to do, and it's something I've worked very hard at practicing. Mm-hmm. And it does make a very big difference, because when we say we've gone into the massive complexity, we've discussed it, and we said, okay, let's label this now. If we give it an appropriate label, the way the brain works through that emphasis and mnemonics and connectivity and associations, that term will then represent all of that. But we need to find a representative term for that full discussion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
That practical conception. And this is very powerful when we can do that, because ever after, that term has now got additional, extended,
right,
layered meaning.
Yeah.
Why absolutely. It's called the dictionary of power.
Yeah.
Dictionary of understanding, the dictionary of no, dictionary
right.
of power.
Yeah, I love that.
The term itself is a fractal conception. Sorry.
True. That's true. That's actually making me think of, when you were talking about the cabinet file, it reminds me of a packet, like in IT stuff. It really is a very similar.
In telecommunication?
Yeah, it's a very similar concept to a packet, right? A packet is a collection of information that's got lots of layers of different information within it, and it's got a header and lots of
and a footer. Yes.
Yeah. And in the concept of the packet is to gather up all of this information and put it into one little nice, neat packet, and then when it gets read by the machine at different layers, all these different layers of information get stripped out at each stop along the way and dissected and moved on. So it actually is very similar to a packet concept.
Wow, I love this. Wow.
Yes, and I also mentioned this telecommunication mechanism with cell.
That's
and
awesome.
It's really amazing. Yes, because it avoids collision. When we first read this, it was to avoid collision. But later on, it becomes more and more and more. And now it is coming again to collision, where if you have specific details attached to that, like Cell, how he elucidate everything. So we have a different association attached to that, a new specific, precise association, and which makes it like, okay, not vulnerable to collision, to have any misconceptions and misunderstandings involved in that. So it is really amazing.
That's why we do the repeat backs.
Yeah.
Yes.
In telecommunications, if I understand it, isn't it very important when you send a packet that you get an acknowledgement of the packet back, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Repeat back of a kind to say.
Yes.
That's true. I got it.
Yes.
That's very true. That is very true.
What we're all about. What we're all about. We're all about this great interconnectivity. And the more we start to develop these conceptions, yes, the dictionary of power is personal, it's individual. It's your dictionary of power. So I'm assuming your title of the dictionary of power file is my dictionary of power. If it's not adjusted, it's very important.
Yeah, I have Way of Impeccability dictionary power. I like that. I will change
But
it.
it's now you can just add Erika's Way of Impeccability dictionary of power.
I like that.
It's very important that it is yours.
Right.
Because that dictionary of power is going to become the building blocks of the extended Erika, the full Erika, the real Erika, right? It's the foundation, it's the core stones. But it's not my conceptions. It's not Way of Impeccability. It's Erika's.
Yeah.
This is very important. All right. So I wanted to say, in terms of what we are doing, as we go along, even though the dictionary of power is ours personally, we're going to take that, like you said, demonstration. This is a powerful conception, and it's added to my personal dictionary of power. It's added, maybe you can say there is a dictionary of power for the Way of Impeccability. Okay. But that's just a baseline, and from it we customize and we extend, right? And we individualize. But as we go along, the more we start to speak the same language, and we're speaking this, like in programming language, you got basic and then it went up, Okay, in the same way, we are going to speak the abstract language, which is the language of the universe, which is like this. I don't like hierarchical terms, but really, okay, I'll just call it a universal language.
Mm-hmm.
Language of the universe, which is the language of these overview conceptions. And when we start to connect in that way, life just becomes very simple.
I love that. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
The language of more, right?
Language of more.
Absolutely. Language of more. Okay. I have to go for a few minutes. I'll be back here.
It's a big point. Oh, you're gonna go. Okay.
I'll be here in just a few minutes.
All right.
That's very profound what you said, Erika. The language of more. Yes. The dictionary of power is the language of more. The more of us individually.
Mm-hmm.
Because we are more. This
right.
concept of more, it is just this one word, capital M, more. This is a world-changing conception.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yeah.
It's amazing. Not just life-changing, but it's actually a world-changing conception. One conception, so simple. That capital M, more. We are more. There's always more. More is a joy. It's a gift, And when we start to really get into this more, we say, what is the more but the unknown?
Yeah.
Fear the unknown. But one of our objectives in the Way of Impeccability is to develop the tools of self to such a level of adaptability that we feel confident about venturing into the unknown, and to see that unknown not as a fearful thing, but as more, as excitement, as adventure. Yeah.
Absolutely. And actually, that reminds me, one of my takeaways from the second module, I think, was that I've been reading a lot of interesting books, some of which are about people that have truly changed the world, shaped the world. And an underlying theme that I've found with all of these people is that we have to remove the term impossible from our vocabulary. Everybody who has truly changed the world has never taken no for an answer. Impossible does not exist. We just haven't figured out how to do it yet. And that really, to me, that ties right in with the concept of more. There's always more.
Yes.
And if we take on that attitude of nothing is impossible, we just have to venture out into the unknown. Yes. That's how you really change the world.
Yes. I'm going to send you a link to an article called Making the Impossible Possible.
Awesome. Okay. That sounds good.
Okay, it'll take me a little while to do that, but just remind me. Can you make a note there for me when we wrap up, and then I'll just do that. So, okay, brilliant. So you were sharing big overview takeaways.
Yes.
go through the next thing that you have in your note.
Okay, let me get back down here. There we go.
Unless there's more in that particular one.
Yes, yeah. Okay, so my second key concept from session 2 was that taking notes is a vital part of the process to help us remember key concepts, revisit feelings, emotions, thoughts, etc. that come up, and dig deeper. And nothing is trivial. If it comes up, it was for a reason.
Yes. That's huge. Nothing is trivial.
I think, to me, thinking about making something your own and really feeling it and connecting with it, taking notes for me is a big way to do that. Really writing things down or typing them out.
Organized notes.
Yes, yeah, putting your thoughts.
Add that organized to the notes.
Yes, yeah, that's a big way to really make it your own, to me.
You are leveraging emphasis, capital E emphasis, because it literally, as we've said before, rewires the brain. So we have to understand this. This taking notes, it's about emphasis and about training the brain. The concept of train the brain is very powerful, right? So there's many techniques that we can use to train the brain. Many,
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. The next one was to remain open-minded and see things from multiple perspectives. That was a really important key concept to me.
And you are, Erica. You are profoundly open-minded, really. I know, and I mentioned this not as a compliment, but also as something that we go a little bit further. Being profoundly open-minded can be a liability if we don't deal with it appropriately.
Right.
Because that can make us so open that we don't take anything and make it our own, and then we just basically at the whim of things, right?
Yes, that's
we're always changing. We don't actually get towards that core conceptuality of soundness and stability.
Yes.
It's balance, right?
Yes.
For a ballet dancer, balance is power.
Yes, absolutely.
You need to have a physical fitness in order to be in balance as a ballet dancer, right?
Yes. Yeah.
You can't just be in balance if you don't have that physical, actual core strength in your body and your legs, yes?
Yes, absolutely.
To be in balance as a spirit warrior, we need that power, that fitness of self, of conception, of foundation. And this is what the way of impeccability is all about. That fitness of self, that power that we have, this core from which we can then balance, adapt, be appropriate, be open. But we also come back to our core sensibility.
Yeah.
Core sensibility starts with full claiming and acknowledgement that we are not only a good person, but also impeccable.
Yeah. I love that. I'm writing all this down. That really resonates with me. That's something that I've never thought about it in those terms, but I definitely see that in myself, that remaining open-minded to, and I always say I get myself stuck in situations where I can see, like in an argument, I can see both sides of the argument and I sympathize with both sides. And it makes it difficult for me to know, where I fall. And so I definitely, that really resonates with me, that it's important to understand your foundation, and it's great to be open-minded, but you also need to know where your core is.
Erica, in the ballet, much of ballet is about posture. Yes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Posture, but also stance.
Yes.
Yes? Now, yes, you are doing stance in a fluid. You're actually expressing stance and posture with movement, right? You're taking stance and posture to the extreme sophistication, correct? I mean, not only the physical conceptions of stance and posture, but also the figurative ones, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, now we can add face to that. Now, ballet doesn't really go into face, but it does somewhat, right? Because your face isn't the focus of it. But if we take the concept of face, in other words, like losing face, mm-hmm. It's the same. It's connected to posture and stance, and they all are manifested or exemplified or exhibited through movement in ballet. It's very sophisticated. But I wanted to ask you specifically, as an individual, when it comes to physical stance and also life stance, if this is something that has come up in the ballet somewhere, where potentially, stances, because if we're too open, we struggle to take a stance.
Yes. Yeah. That has definitely come up for me.
In what way? In the physicality?
Yes. Yes.
How? I'm curious, please, if you don't mind sharing.
It's really interesting talking about practice and seeing how much practice can shape things. It's very clear when you're in a room full of people with varying experience in dance. It's very, very obvious within the first few seconds who has had many years of practicing versus people that are brand new. And you can tell that by their posture and the way that they carry themselves.
Their
stance, yes. And so it's really interesting seeing how it becomes almost just a second nature for people that have practiced many times and know they don't even have to think about it anymore. It's just ingrained as a part of them.
It's innate.
It is innate. Yes, it's an innate.
It's incorporated, in other words.
It is, yeah. And they don't, that's not even, they're not consciously doing that. It's just happening. And for those of us that aren't used to taking that stance in dance and having that posture, it's something that we're really consciously having to think about and practice. And so I am repeatedly being reminded by my teachers to, pull your shoulders back, pull your head back, don't look down, do this with your arm. So it's really interesting. One of the things that I've kind of marveled at is how much, and I didn't really realize this until I started doing ballet, but how much of dance, or really just any coordination with your body, is mental. So much of it is mental. You think of it as a physical thing, but a huge part of it is mental. And being able to balance thinking about the steps, thinking about your posture, thinking about the timing, combining all of these things and being mindful of all of these varying pieces that have to come together in this perfect harmony to make it look graceful and balanced and everything.
Yes, cohesive.
Yes. So it's very interesting. It's been I had no idea that ballet was going to be such a profound experience.
Life lesson. It was an application of life lessons.
Yes.
But Erica, it's because you are coming into it. And when you started the ballet, that was a focus of a shift, right? And a few little tiny things made that shift. One, to see it as play, and one, to see it as an abstract representation or a physical representation of the abstract.
Right.
Profound. Sometimes just one tiny little idea can change everything. So this is what you are saying, that so much of ballet is mental. It is precisely about conception.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
To conceive of what it is you are doing. I see this when I teach golf. Not that I've done too much of it, but it's a very peculiar skill. I'm an excellent golf teacher. Why? Because golf is so precisely. Have you ever played golf?
A handful of times. Joe is an avid golfer. Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. So I'm a really excellent golf teacher. I was a very good golf player too. But it's the teaching. Why? Because what people think they are doing and what they actually do and what you need to do, two different things. Right?
Yes, that's very true.
Most people think they need to hit the ball.
Right.
And now, it's not the thing with your arms. It's a physical, you actually arms, you don't even use the muscles in your arm if you're doing it, appropriately. So you have to completely change. And they think they need to hit the ball up. Literally, the club is moving downward when it impacts the ball, right?
Right.
Because the backspin is what makes the ball go up. So golf is like a game of opposites. I love it. It's a really spiritual thing, and I want to do this. Actually, there's a book that Beena wrote called Golf with Grace. I want to make a video series on it because it's what you are doing in the ballet. I can exemplify in the golf. And it's about stance and posture. but it is a physical representation where if you want to get the physicality to work, you have to change the way you conceive of what you want.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So,
Yeah, that's
impeccability is precisely that. We are learning the conceptions that make a difference. We are learning appropriate conceptuality.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you could say ballet is an exercise of appropriate conceptualizing or conceptuality.
That's awesome. I've got to write that one down too. Yeah, I love that. That's
golf
very,
in brackets there, since Joe is an golfer. Put golf in brackets behind that. I say brackets, but I think you say parentheses, right?
Parentheses, yeah.
Brackets are where I come from. Yeah. It's like quotation marks are inverted commas.
Okay, I've heard that and didn't really know what that meant.
Right,
Interesting.
yeah. and a full stop is a period. No, period is a full stop.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So this is very exciting. But to be aware that in order to affect change, we need to really focus on how we conceive of things, which brings us back to Module 1, Session 1.
Yes, absolutely.
The title of Module Session 1 is Clarity of Intent.
Yes.
So what you have been articulating and elucidating, both very powerful terms to me. I love them both because you can have one, but to elucidate it's something different. What you've been doing is to precisely articulate your clarity of intent. Right? What it is that you are doing, what it is that you are going to be doing, what it is that you want to do, what it is that you intend to do. Because to want to do things and to intend to do things not always the same. Right?
True.
And also to have clarity of the intents that you have set and are now setting, because intent is an ongoing thing. Right? It's a continuous process.
Yes, absolutely.
So when you go to ballet, you know precisely what it is that you're doing. It makes it very easy.
That's true. It's very true.
Practice.
Yeah.
When you know precisely what you are doing, life is easy. Because that's when people get lost, and you see it in a business context too. When employees or your team members say, "What am I doing?" You just say, ask yourself when you get lost, when you get overwhelmed, just go back to that one question to say, "What am I doing?" It's astonishing. Oh, what am I doing? Oh, yes, I'm busy making the final report. They forget that. They forget.
Right.
It's astonishing, and then they get lost.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, that's awesome.
It's so simple that.
It is.
So this point of capital S simplicity.
Yes.
It really is a dictionary of power term, power concept. Yes. Why? Because we do things sometimes that some things are so incredibly life-changing, but they are so ridiculously simple that we tend to devalue them because they are simple.
Right.
One simple thing we can't believe, but how can you forget what you were doing? Yet it happens.
Right.
It happens all the time. It's incredible. And when we forget, then we get lost, we get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Simplicity is very important because we take simplicity for granted. But when we don't, when we are deliberate about simplicity, that's the power term.
Right.
Simplicity.
Deliberate simplicity. Yeah. I like
that's
that.
what we want. That's what we want to get. Deliberate simplicity.
Yeah.
Very big difference, right?
Yes, absolutely. Love that. Deliberate simplicity. Whoops. Okay, I'm going to put that in 2 different places. Okay. Yeah, I love that.
You see how important it is for me to make space for you to take the note?
I appreciate that, yes.
Not just the physical writing of the note, but also when you are taking note, it's an internal process. Earlier, you started to take note, and Beena was a little too eager.
Right.
You didn't get to complete your note, and then that it collapses much of the power of the note.
Yeah, interesting.
So it's very important. Again, I'm relating to you from a point of it where you're the one that's in my space, because you will be not just as I doubt if you'll go back into corporate, but I suspect somewhere you're going to probably end up having your own business or your own project or whatever it is, even if it's some just an artistic thing that you're doing. I don't care what it is, but I feel in some point you are going to be in this situation. I can't see you doing anything from this point onward, especially when we go through the whole way of impeccability, where you are going to be not on the initiating thing, right? Where you're not on the initiating end of the spectrum,
right.
Right? And the sharing and the communication spectrum. So to make that pause for people taking note, or when they say, oh, and implications and consequences, and to make space for that to settle down into the body. This is a huge, very, very simple thing, but absolutely profound in its consequences. Because otherwise, those things get lost.
Right.
If you make space, they just get lost.
It's true.
Very powerful, very powerful. All right, so keep going. Just I don't know where you at, So
let's see. I have one more key concept from the module 2. And that was to get very clear on why you are here. This will help you with applying the appropriate context to the course. In other words, getting your state of mind in the right place and understanding how you approach the work. And it will help you stay committed because you'll understand really why you're here. It will also help you more quickly hone in on what's important to you. And I had in the note, training the brain.
Yes.
So
that's why I feel intuitively you are connecting to a little bit more. And when I say the one term that comes up here, you're going to go, oh yeah, obviously, yeah, duh. That why was about, that whole point about why you are here, it is to take responsibility for being here.
I love that.
You ask your employees, why the hell are you here?
Right.
Well, I need to be on a job. Okay, well, now you are here because you need to be here, you want to be here, you choose to be here.
Right.
Take responsibility, stop complaining and bitching. In other words, shut up and do work.
Right. Yeah.
It's
big.
Responsibility.
Yeah, that's really big.
Profound responsibility.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's huge. Right?
It's huge, yeah.
And part of that is I was almost a little rude, I felt, in that. I said, look, if you can't make peace with why you're here, then don't be here.
Right, yeah.
Again, responsibility. Yes?
Yeah, absolutely. But, and I mean, I think that's really important that, again, kind of going back to the tone of sobriety of this.
Yes.
We need to take this seriously, and not because of some obligation to do the program for anyone else, or yourself.
Correct.
Take it seriously for yourself.
Yes. Know exactly, precisely why you are here.
Yeah.
Why are you here, Beena?
Yes, I'm here.
Why are you here?
Why I'm here? Because I'm here. I'm meant to be here.
Brilliant. No, I better ask it really seriously. Why are you here in Impeccability?
In Way of Impeccability is a pure and magical manifestation of my intent to have more in my life. Now I can say that in Way of Impeccability vocabulary. Before, it was not possible for me. I was just searching and seeking and seeking. It was a continuous searching for me. But I actually, nothing was grabbing my attention, and I was just scrolling for hours, just searching for something. That something was not defined, and what I was looking for. Now I'm feeling at peace at home. So this thing is, for me, Way of Impeccability is a feeling of home. I'm feeling at home. I'm feeling at peace.
And the home of you are.
And it just makes me really comfortable.
Yes, but more than that,
Sorry?
could I say accurately, if I were to paraphrase what you are saying, to restate it? You are here. If I say, why are you here? You could say, I'm here because I am doing what gives me the greatest joy. Beena?
Absolutely. The most amazing thing, yes. The most amazing thing for me is just this Way of Impeccability concept gave me a peace and an awareness, of that I'm okay. I have to be okay with the idea that no matter how much I learn, no matter how much I search, I still don't know everything. And it is okay to don't know everything, which is like really amazing, because I was just continuously on search, seeking and searching and learning and try to get. And it is just okay. No, it's okay to be, because you know that you always have a bigger plan. Universe always have a bigger plan and bigger scheme and a grand scheme.
Always
And no matter how much you are aware, your awareness is nothing is as compared to universal awareness itself. And there is always more. There is always more. Okay, now I'm at peace with, yes, because
Right.
no matter how much I do, it's not gonna be enough for that. And yes, it is enough for me. So it's a really amazing idea for me.
I asked Beena because I kind of know the answer, but I asked you, Beena, specifically because, well, you came out right on that point, because it was the last takeaway point of the overview perspective of what stood out for Erica. She said this: why are you here? Be clear about why you are here. And so I knew that your why is likely going to resonate with Erica. What Beena said, does that apply to you, Erica?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
Very powerful. One little point on that. In that why point where I felt a bit rude almost, it was about the point about the gender.
Mm.
And to understand that in the way of impeccability, that there isn't, it's not me having and sharing stuff from a personal agenda point of view.
Right.
I'm sharing what I feel are self-evident sensibilities. And if you do come across something that you feel is, oh, that's a belief, then I hope you would say, hey, wait, so you're asking me to believe over here. What the hell is up with this? You
Right.
know? No belief required. Then we might say, yes, maybe I am asking a belief, but temporarily. Just take it as if, go out and test it and see if it's self-proving. Okay, there is such a thing, but we'll get to that. But this was an important point. And this leads to something else that is hugely profound. So I'm jumping a little bit here because this is a foundational conception that makes all the difference in the world. Now, you're already in this space because of your openness, but not everyone is. And it's important too from a point of view. So I'm doing two things here, Erica. I'm coming at you from this personal, but also from the conception of later on, where I do foresee and I really feel you are going to be in a similar situation to where I'm at. Right? So I'm sharing with you the conceptions or the understandings from this perspective. Okay. So when you're coming in and somebody's coming into a situation where they're going to be learning and growing and acquiring newness, and where, yes, the conceptions, like in your case, the vocabulary and the conceptions aren't overwhelming, but for some, they very much are. So they are then forced into a situation where they have to trust the presenter.
Right.
Now, in that sense, especially if there's a bit of ego involved, because this often happens, we get people joining the program who are life coaches and they give seminars, they give workshops.
Right.
But relative to this way of impeccability, they kind of suddenly said, oh my God, I've been kind of teaching this stuff, but I know bugger all. And this is a problem for them. Because they need to maintain their status, but at the same time, they realize I'm starting off as a child. Right? And then they start to, I know this, and this is why, and then they justify themselves all the time, and it's a problem. But what they need to do is to set aside all of that and to come into the program with an open and a completely open acceptance that what you are going to be acquiring has merit and value.
Mm-hmm.
Now you said, oh, but isn't that asking for like a lot? Yes, it is. It is asking for a profound trust, but it is qualified, and this is a very sophisticated point. We are going to give that trust consciously and deliberately, knowing it is a temporary mechanism. Start with giving the full trust, and then afterwards we will come and say, oh, once I've checked that I've understood it, then I can say whether or not I'm going to agree, disagree, critique it. But I need to give over to the idea that it may be a sensibility that is beyond my abilities or my comprehension of sensibility at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you can only learn what you know.
True.
And that's terrible, right?
And you would run the risk of only learning the parts that you want to know, right? Not picking
avoid the awful truth, in other words.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm listening, Erica. I'm just going to go make coffee.
Oh, no worries.
That's why I'm turning my laptop so you can see me taking it. Because you're on speaker, so I'll hear you everywhere over the whole apartment over here. So, and the microphone's pretty sensitive. You hear me too. So.
Okay, good.
But yeah. So say again. Just re-articulate this point that you were busy making.
Oh, just
the whole point that we're on. Oh, you muted. Sorry, Erica. Oh, what happened? Oh, no, you're not muted. I accidentally when I picked up the speaker, I turned it off. I was like, ready to go. I'm listening. So just this point that we're making about openness of acceptance. It's a different thing to be open, to accept or to take for granted, or not for granted, sorry, not take for granted, but to come at a new learning from the point of being that this is profound and valuable. Mm-hmm. Do so deliberately, not blindly, not naively.
Right.
Do it with sophistication to say, I'm going to assume it is profound and sensible so that I can make sure I connect to it if it is so. And then I'm going to check my understanding, and then later on I can say, wow, wait a minute. But at first, I want to assume it is that.
Yeah? Right. Yeah.
So you just re-articulate what you understood all that to be.
So the thing that really stuck out to me was there at the end, talking about making sure that you are really absorbing all of the material and really having enough trust in the program to not just discount everything from a place of fear, or I already know this, or I don't know any of this and I'm overwhelmed now. That you should really step back and keep an open mind and try to look at things from multiple perspectives. That is so important to me, just from an entire world concept to me, a way of being in the world. Because I think it's so easy for us to assume that we know what someone else means, or kind of pick apart. I mean, if we think that someone means something, or if we've already decided that we don't agree with something, if someone is trying to make their point, we just pick little pieces of what we think is true, or we don't really stop and try to truly understand the entire concept from their perspective. And I think that to me is really where intent is so important, because we're never, everyone in the world is never going to agree on everything, but we get so caught up in assuming other people, if I don't agree with this, then that must mean that the other person is a bad person if they think this, or we're assuming these different things. But if we establish the intent of a person from the very beginning, then it's easier for us to try to understand their perspective. And just because we don't agree doesn't mean that we can't respect each other, get along, if we know that the intent there is good.
Intent is good. Rika, we have a concept in way of impeccability, which you will know later on, about reacting and responding. And also about not only that, how we react and respond. Just wait a minute, and I have to do.
Oh, no problem. So Beena gets interruptions sometimes. I'm not sure where Beena's going with the react and respond, but we'll wait till she'll pick it up when she comes.
Sure, yeah.
I wanted to just say what you were saying, this conception of unhooking from agree and disagree. It is out of that to understanding.
Yeah. Oh, sorry for interruption. Okay. It was I was just saying that we have this concept of reacting and responding, which Sil will articulate later on when it comes into way of impeccability modules. And also, for me, it was to be in a state of receptive mode, where you are here, just come and join this, and to be in that state of mode, like in that being, that where you are to receive, because we need to first receive that thing, Later on, you can, okay, analyze it, do it, do
Right.
it. Of course, this is what we are doing right now. But at first, when we are having these modules and sessions, so just be in receptive mood is the best
Mhm.
strategy to
Yeah.
get this idea. And this is in general in life, we need to be in a receptive mood first. We need to do that because like we actually react instead of respond.
True.
But for me, it is like just whatever a person is saying, just be in a receptive mood
Mhm.
first, be in that state where you are at receiving end. So you can receive it fully, whatever it could be a total nonsense. Okay. You don't need to
About
keep it, but
comprehension.
at least receive it. Yes.
If
So
you are
this idea
receptive.
and you actually, sorry?
Oh, no. Carry on. Sorry. I thought you were done.
Okay, so this is what the basic ideas of way of impeccability and how to do this course is to have to be in that receptive mood is a basically really a good idea. Yes, yeah, one can try whatever they want to, but later on, sooner or later, they will come to this
Right.
because they will realize later on that yes, to be the good intent is good behind all this, so they will become. So sometimes it happens that people just go like to 4 5 6 module and then they start coming back. Now I know that, now I got it, okay, so it's good. Go through it. So
Yeah.
this is what I was trying to share.
Right.
Yeah.
And what you were sharing is a takeaway of precisely what Erica said.
Yes, exactly, yes.
I just want to make it clear that you weren't saying, "Oh, Erica, like is in addition to what you're saying." No, you are just feeding it,
No,
Erica, but it's coming from your particular angle. I just want to make it very clear because it's very important to see that you were just re-expressing what Erica said, and that's very powerful. That point that you made, Erica. To have that openness and to insist on capital H hearing, which is hearing the fullness of what somebody intends, not necessarily what they say, but what they intend.
Yeah.
And to check it.
Right.
Because if we don't check it, then we might not get what they're saying. And when we do check it, then they typically say to us, wait. Yes, I know I said that, but that's not quite what I meant. And then they add more, and they add more. And of course, when we understand at root that pretty much everybody is really good. Yes, there are exceptions, but pretty much. And those exceptions are people who get their goodness distorted. But really, actually, everybody's good. But for the most part, the regular people that you meet around you, they have a deep intent to goodness.
Mm-hmm.
When we relate to that and we insist that they have an intent to goodness, how can I take anything you say as being wrong?
Yeah.
How can I take umbrage at anything Erica or Beena says? It's not possible because I know for a fact your intent to goodness is something that is intrinsic, core, innate. It is the all of you. If I hear something that's bothersome to me, miscommunication, it's oddity, you're in an emotion bubble, there's some other reason for it.
Right.
So I make allowance for it and I wait, I patience, I say, what did you mean by this? How did you come to it? And then you say, I'm sorry, I got caught up in an emotional bubble, whatever. Okay. But it's that's nobelia living, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah.
That's what I call, for me, that's what the whole story is founded on. This basic understanding that, hey, there's this core intent to goodness and life is easy after that. It's everything. And we are going to practice this nobelia living in the takeaway sessions. We are always insisting, not just assuming, insisting that the other is operating from a purity of intent.
I love that. Yeah. That is such a powerful concept. I mean, it really does change everything when you operate that way.
Yes. Think of it as the one simple thing that anybody who has any relationship problem, right there.
Yeah, absolutely. That's true.
Right there. Fix all relationships of any kind.
It's so true. Okay, so
one second on that, Erica. Sorry. You wanted to say
no worries.
Chips,
Get coffee.
Sorry, just to take it to one step further, I'm saying all relationships.
Right.
This understanding has to be applied also when you're looking at the relationship with the universe, with God, with Allah, with Krishna, with Buddha. Same point. I chastise people who are religious people. I say, oh, ye of little faith. They do not believe this when it comes to their particular deity.
Right.
They
Yeah.
doubt that there is this deep, deep intent to goodness. It's beyond
Mhm.
what they can see, so they doubt it. You have
Right.
to persist. In other words, when we take that to its maximum, we say that everything is good.
That is so
You said
true.
earlier, I'm tying it back to your earlier point, to saying that when we insist on extracting the more, why is there always more? Because the intent underlying the everything of everything is a profound intent to goodness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ah,
That's huge. Yeah. That's, yeah. There's a lot to unpack there just in that. There's a lot.
see how
Yeah.
we space for you to unpack it?
Do what?
We made space for that unpacking.
Yes, I appreciate that. Yeah, I know. I'm note taking over here. That's very
I can't tell you how much joy that sound of you typing,
the clicking.
how much joy it gives me, right, Beena? When we hear
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. And
those beautiful
yes, it is.
sounds.
Oh dear. Yeah, that's really got my mind going. That's really interesting. So okay, the last thing that I had, I think I got through all of my repeat backs and my takeaways from session 2. So the last thing that I had was the sort of homework from the end of session 2, which was the question of what do I intend to accomplish with the program? What are my goals and aims in regards to how I want to be and live? And so what I wrote down was that I intend to reconnect with myself, to wash away the tarnish of everything I've come to believe about myself and the world that came from
Wow.
of fear and negative outside influence. I intend to gain perspective, to clarify and simplify, recenter and find the moreness within myself. And my goals are to live consciously, deliberately, with purpose, and to refocus on what's truly important to me, to discover how to use my moreness to better the world. And I wrote down at the very end that to me, the underlying sense that I get from why I'm here is purpose. To find my purpose, to hone that purpose, to use it. So purpose was really a key concept for me of my why.
Sorry, Beena, I thought the sound, but I think it was Erica there, the doors, not you.
Oh, yes, my dog was making noises.
Erica, I'd like you to reread those intents.
Sure.
Because actually that was also the exercise at the end of session 1, to say, to formulate and write down your intents of what it is that you intend to get out of the way of impeccability, and what are your life intents. And I think you just fused them all together, which is appropriate, right?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so I'm keen for you to reread all of that again.
Okay.
But to reread it now, you were reading it there to basically share information with us, right? To tell us what did I write down.
Right.
So now I'm asking you to share it as an intent.
Okay.
You are now sharing this as, this is my intent. So yes, we are going to hear you, but you're sharing it to the universe or to whatever you be, right?
Okay.
This is a really serious, it makes me emotional to even think of doing this, because it's such a profound act. This is a real potent act of saying, this is my intent.
Okay.
Listen.
All right. I intend to reconnect with myself and to wash away the tarnish of everything that I've come to believe about myself and the world that came from a place of fear and negative outside influence. I intend to gain perspective, to clarify, to simplify, recenter, and find the moreness within myself. My goals are to live consciously, deliberately, with purpose, and to refocus on what's truly important to me and discover how to use my moreness to better the world.
Better the world and me.
Absolutely.
Better the world and me.
Mm-hmm.
I hear that and me implied in there, right? I know you said it before, but it's not only for the world, it's also for you, right?
Yep.
You can't possibly better the world if you're not bettering you first, yes?
Right. Absolutely.
So will you maybe add that and me?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I heard so much in there. It just blows me away, you know. It humbles me, Erica. It humbles me to hear such sincerity and sobriety and purpose and clarity of intent. That's why I asked you to say it in that way, because it is very clear that you mean this. But now you're putting it out there in a public way, in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
It's only me and Beena, but maybe you said it to Joe, but doesn't matter. When we say things to ourselves, we have that, we can easily change our mind, right? Because it's not out there. But when we said it as a commitment, of course we can still change our mind. But the fact that you've said it later on, if I come back and say, oh, you remember, Erica, when you said you had this profound intent, like what happened to that? And if you haven't been acting on it, you're going to be like, well, yeah, kind of. So because of our honesty and our integrity, when we put an intent out there, especially if we put it out there to the universe, it does commit us to acting on it. Yes, we can update it and change it, but it commits us to action of some kind. That action is going to include adaptability, fluidity, flexibility, changing it, but we are going to commit to action. So what you just did, you've already done that, but I just was reaffirming this. You really now put yourself firmly on this path. You've left the gates, you're on the road, you're on the path, you're in process of application.
Mm-hmm.
That the way you read it the second time was about entrenching this idea, this conception, this intent for application, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you read it the second time, you might as well have been saying, this is what I am doing. Not going to be doing, this is what I am doing. This is what I'm about. I'm not just saying I want to do this, I am doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I will do this, I'm going to do this, there's no doubt, no question. How exactly, I don't know yet, but that's adaptability and fluidity, it doesn't matter. I will be doing this in some way or another. Why? Because this is profoundly important to me. To me, Erica, yes?
Absolutely.
Huge deal. It happens to be profoundly important to me, so also, and I can speak for Beena. I would say it's important to her too. What you articulated is deeply, deeply important to us also. We just happen to have overlapping intents because it's the intent to awareness. It's the intent to more. And you articulated, your wording is your wording, but in the abstract, it's the same thing. As
right.
It was unbelievably magical. That's really, really, really huge. Wow. Just love it. Just love it. Did you discuss any of this with Joe, by the way?
We didn't get to go over what I wrote down last night. He knows that I'm doing the program, and we've talked about my kind of high-level overview of why, but I haven't gotten to share with him what I wrote yet. So.
I'm hoping that at some point.
I need to, yeah.
Well, the reason I ask is, again, too, when you do share with him, make sure to build in that understanding that these intents that you're articulating are your intents of now. You mean every single word of what you say now. However, those may change and adapt as you go along because you're going to change as you go along.
Right.
That
right.
doesn't mean you don't mean it now, right?
Absolutely.
In other words, I'm just being cautious because we can fully have an intent, but it needs to change later on. But others hearing that can tend to lock us into that, right?
Right.
So you do articulate these intents, make sure they are open-ended, flexible, adaptable. intense. I love it when Erica puts her hair back like that. It's so different, right, Beena? We see that magical, innocent preciousness of Erica. That's most excellent.
That's really profound. I really like that.
That point of building in the fact that these are going to change.
Yes.
I mean it now, but I also know it will change. I don't want to lock myself in to being rigid about this. Very, particularly with others. You see this in business. People that jump the gun. Then they share their business idea. Oh, we're going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And then it's not realistic. And then the next thing, they can't implement it. And they get all embarrassed. And their entire idea implodes. Right? Because they weren't able to fulfill all these wild promises that they made. They made it at the time. But people look at so you have to be very cautious when you express intents to us in general. The other reason I was mentioning this about Joe is that I would recommend printing out those intents and putting it up somewhere. Making a nice little print out of it, even laminating it if necessary. I know lamination is somewhat permanent, but yes, they are permanent. Doesn't matter. In a week's or two's time, if you need to re-laminate it, no problem, you do it, even though it's a rigmarole. But that power of putting it up somewhere where you can see it is very, very, very potent. You know, just as that reminder. If not the intents in the entire wording, just a few core conceptions. You know, if you were to just take them out and say, okay, you know, make bullet points of it, because you know what it means. Just put them up somewhere. You know.
Yeah.
It's just a daily reminder. It's very powerful. You know?
Yeah.
Very powerful. So we're going to ask you to reread that lots of times.
Okay.
But it's really beautiful. And I truly love it. I can't tell you how really magical and important this thing is. You know,
I appreciate that.
This alone, that clarity of intent, like we said, you know, we could just kind of stop there, because once you know what it is that you're about and you set this intent, we're going to get to the next step. You're going to find the entire universe is now going to conspire to assist you. This is the intent is an intent to awareness.
Yes. Yeah.
Capital A, all caps awareness, right? That's essentially what you are saying. Your intent there, all of it, is an intent to all caps awareness. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that's the purpose of the universe. Everything that we see, it's all geared towards getting us to that point. So when we say, hey, this is my intent, we are now in full alignment with the universe. And of course now, well, life is easy. You've gone kayaking, you know, we're in that stream. Everything, you just have to do that little bit of paddling, but everything is going to help you. That's because it can't give you awareness for itself. You have to do it by yourself. But it gives suggestions and prompts and creates situations. You know, it can do all of this assistance to aid you in the application of your intent. Because your intent is now the same as the universe's intent.
Yeah.
This is a point of belief I was talking about, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you, Beena.
Wow.
Just reminded me it's 2 hours. But this,
I know, I was thinking about that. Yeah.
That's cool. We don't have to stick to it. I just want to so that you know where you can budget your time, because time is important for you. This point that our intent and this intent of the universe is the intent to awareness. This is potentially a point of belief. Now, when I say it to you, it's kind of self-evident to you. It's like, well, duh. Like it's something for those that don't take it as a duh, as an obviousness. They can say, oh, I know it's the intent of the universe. Just go out and test this idea. Test this idea that everything in life is geared to assisting you towards awareness. Simply look at anything that happens in your life from this perspective, and it will soon be self-evident.
Yeah. I love that.
When we find our intent, and what you express is the intent, and your intent is now in attunement with the universe. Now the universe is going to conspire to assist you. That's exactly what happened in Beena's case. Same exact thing. She had an intent, you know, from reading Sophie's World. That's how she came to be here. You know, I don't know if you know the book Sophie's World. I have a feeling you might.
I have heard of it, but I haven't read it. I need to check it out.
It's a book that grabbed, you know, it's a book about a story about this girl, and she ends up, if I understand Beena, you have to correct me as she corresponds with this. She finds this philosopher, and and she connects with him, and anyway. So this was a big idea to Beena, and she said, "How wonderful this will be!" And then she saw my post in the Sassy group to say, "I'm looking for post-beta testers." And it's like, whoa, and then so that's how we.
Yeah.
In other words, I was a very direct manifestation of her intent. It's not me; it's just the universe arranging things to give, because Beena is now in tune with awareness, more awareness, and it provided that. So that's how it works. I'm just using it as the nearest example that came to mind of that. How the universe assists us and gears us in that intent.
Yeah.
So it'd be very interesting to pay attention to things that come into your world from perspective.
Yeah.
How this towards my intent of awareness, and how is this helping?
Yeah.
Just in terms of, I like this, and to me it's really magical that you basically essentially put this what to do in life. You essentially just said, what I'm doing is being open and just being, right, and letting it come.
Yeah.
So you've unhooked from looking specifically for, that's very profound.
Yeah.
When the things come, they'll come. But first, how can we actually do that if we don't have our underpinnings in order?
Right.
And this is what we are doing with the way of impeccability. We are going to get all of our stuff sorted. We can't be saying, I need to do something out there if I haven't done, like I can say, I want to go and check out this website. But if I haven't opened up the computer and started it up and opened the browser, how can I do that? So we need those simple fundamental things first. This is what we are doing in the way of impeccability. We're getting our fundamentals squared away to enable us to be able to do anything.
Right. That was one of the things that I had written that down somewhere. I don't know where it was, but I got this real idea at the end of session 2 that the work through this program is really going to help serve as kind of a compass for what we're doing going forward, because until we know what we're looking for, what's important to us, or how we want to be, there's a million different options and we don't really know which direction to go. But once we have all of that foundation in place, then you can use that as a guide to point you in the right direction.
Yes.
So.
Now, a compass points us in the right direction, but in order to use a compass, you use that first power term you brought up of adaptability.
Yes, absolutely.
Isn't following a compass all about adaptability? You need to constantly adapt, right?
Very true. Very true.
You have the general direction, but it's always about constant adaptability.
Yeah, very, very true.
I love that.
Me too.
Love that. And look, when we take like on a journey across an ocean, you're following the compass. You point more or less, okay, we're going from New York to London, we go more or less east, right? But just more or less, But the closer we get, the more we fine tune. When you actually see the harbor, now you can make those precise adjustments.
Right.
Initially, we have to know it's a general direction. It doesn't matter. As long as we're in the more or less direction, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's very true. Very, very true. I love that.
Erica, before we go, I want to ask your takeaways of this takeaway session. But I just want to get a quick opinion or perspective from Beena, if there's anything Beena wants to say, because I want to end with your takeaway of it all. Beena, anything you want to share on this? Besides it being awesome and magical and just fantastic and profound and huge and just mind-blowing? Beena? Oh, maybe Beena's not here. Oh, you can do it. Sorry.
Oh.
I muted Beena, so she's saying I have to unmute her. Sorry, Beena, you couldn't unmute yourself. Oh, sorry. Huh?
But you said that okay, you muted myself and I was waiting. Okay. No. I thought that my background noises might be disturbing.
So any takeaways on the takeaway session, Beena?
Yes, of course, other than what you already mentioned, that yes, mind-blowing and magnificent and huge and beautiful and all that. And Erica, you know it very well, what we are feeling. But other than that, I actually really like that, because I'm noting down what you shared, that you pay attention, you actually paid attention to every single point and the ideas, and try to, yes, of course, there are many intents involved in that, behind every single concept, but you actually stretch your boundaries, and like you said that, okay, long arch, and the intent behind that, you got many of that, and quite precisely, which is really good. And also that almost in time, we did that almost in time. So it is also a very good thing that it is kind of an assurance that yes, it is designed to be in that time, and
Right.
it is possible, humanly possible.
Yes.
Before that, because we were just keep going there, for me it was like a whole new world. So that for me, I was just going on for hours and hours and hours, and still just like really supporting me for that in that timings. But now we are doing it for the way it is intended, this course. So it is on time, and you did it, and your takeaways. And I think that you hardly miss anything which is really profound, and you miss that. No, I don't think so. Everything is covered in that. So for me, it is a very professional and thorough takeaways from you.
Fantastic. So this is my takeaway, Erica, and what when I first saw you, this is what I understood and knew to be. Now, sometimes I feel like I'm living my life in reverse, truly. It's like I remember stuff ahead of time, like I remember the future, truly. And I always felt that you would be, and to me, what today was, what I could say, it is an ideal case study of how to take the way of impeccability.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yes. Agree.
And I mentioned this very specifically. It's not to compliment you, Erica, but I want to emphasize the point of Erica's moreness. Erica's moreness is not a usual moreness. And to accept that, to understand that, to own it, and to make peace with it, and to learn to be strategic about it, this is what we're all about.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to use the word special, and I shouldn't say hate, but Erica's a special case. There's no doubt about that. And it is understanding the specialness of Erica, which is what we are all about. Erica is not a usual person. Erica is not in our league as regular people. No. This is just something we have to understand. You're in a different world. And we are going to maximize that so that Erica is going to be this creature of grace and creature of reverence and creature of profoundness and creature of this magical, empowered humility and potency. Very special thing, no?
Yes, it is.
That's my perception. Maybe that's me putting things on there, but this is how.
No.
I mentioned that.
I completely agree with you.
Beena asked me very specifically, because I've said it with others that have started the program. And I said ahead of time privately to Beena, this is where I see the thing going, and then they get there. So Beena asked me to articulate it specifically what I see. I see Erica.
And Erica, I think that sorry to you can understand by the way we were asking you question. You can understand that we are not just here to appreciate you, to admire you and your takeaways. It is like, okay, we were actually observing everything, like you were observing, you were doing these modules and sessions. So we were also doing that. It is like really a genuine and a real takeaways from our side.
Yeah.
Because I'm saying that from yourself, because he already knew that. So he was saying that this is how this is going to happen. But for me, I was actually observing every single word and trying to make note of it. So for it is not only even not 1% of it, just to admire you. No, we were just like I was making note, and I was observing, continuously looking at you, at how you are doing, and try to get your intent behind that, and try to get what you are not saying, but you articulated really well and precise.
Right. So if we are the reality, just for argument's sake, let's just take a hypothetical. What if you are actually in like I wrote in the Beena series, chapter 10 about the angels, the old angels, not religious angels, right? What if you are actually this magical creature of an angel come to earth to learn to be perfect in imperfect circumstances? Mm-hmm. Easy to be perfect in perfect circumstances, right? That doesn't take very much. Mm-hmm. Right? But to learn to be perfect in imperfect circumstances, that's a challenge. But now what if you are actually such a creature? Exactly. Exactly. Now, Beena has a very, very fun. I can't ever say it the way you guys say it. But, yes. So this is the challenge. This is the challenge as I see it for you and for Beena also, for Donna also. Donna is in the process of claiming, she calls it the divine self. No ego involved in that, no nothing. That is the moreness of who she is. And that's the point that we are heading towards. That moreness is to claim the fullness of your angel self, your divine self, your more self, your real self. This is what your real self is. It's not just being more in the usual sense of the word, and we're not looking at this from a dominance, ego, status point of view. We couldn't get two hoots about that. It is my moreness.
Sorry about it. We're going to take off.
Okay.
We're going to I'll see you in the morning.
Okay, perfect. No problem. See you, Jonathan. Thanks, man. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. This is the point that we're all about, is to claim that true fullness of ourselves that's more than even we can conceive now.
Yeah.
It's quite a challenge. It's quite a challenge.
It is. Yeah, it is.
It's quite a And you know, that exquisiteness of being, this is the word that always comes to me when I see Erica. Exquisiteness of sophistication of being.
Yes.
The exquisiteness of sophistication of being.
Erica, when will be the next one with you?
Tomorrow.
Yeah, I can do, actually tomorrow, well, okay, tomorrow I have an unusually timed appointment. Where's my phone? I have a therapy appointment.
It's not on your lap.
Well, yeah, at 12:30 my time, I think. I have a therapy appointment at 12:30 my time.
Let me interrupt 1 second there. On the therapy appointments, I am very keen as an exercise to go into your therapy appointments and to pay to how they change as you progress in the way of impeccability.
Yes, yeah.
They will profoundly change. Okay, so you have that. So the question still is just when next for you. It doesn't have to be tomorrow. It's whenever's convenient for you.
So depending on the timing that we need, I am free in the morning prior to that. Or Thursday, I can do normal time.
Right. So we, for us, we're on from 6 o'clock our time, which is you are Central Time, so that's 7 o'clock your time. It's just before 1 o'clock for you now, right?
Yes.
You're an hour away from us right now. In summer, you're 2 hours away. Okay. So right now we are on from 7 o'clock your time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Every day we come on that time. So if you're free in the mornings, any time between then and this time, you can go later too if need be. But if for both of us to be on, because for Beena, this is part of Beena's way of impeccability, is to participate in you.
Yeah.
She's getting perspective on herself, so it's part of her progression as well.
Yes.
And at some point in time, it's going to be the same for you when others join. You're going to come in that role. So
Erica, you will have a time to do another session or module
tomorrow
in between. Yeah. Before tomorrow, of course.
Yes, this evening I am free, so yes, I will have time to do.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, so we are going to meet tomorrow.
So I can do, let's see, I have to get the cat taken care of. I can probably be on at 9 my time, 8.
Wow, that would be fantastic. That would be fantastic. These initial sessions are going to be longer, but as we go on, they'll be tighter and more focused, and we will aim towards 1 hour sessions plus or minus, as appropriate, of course, but so that you can budget your time.
Right.
Right? I mean, it's not that we want to limit it. I would literally love to spend all day, but it is to be disciplined with our focus in this. And also to say it doesn't have to be every day. It can be if you wish, but to do it 2 or 3 times a week. At least. More is bonus, but that's That's what we'll
Of course.
Mhm.
That is why I just keep reminding you that okay, now it's 1 hour and we completed that. So if you don't have time more than 1 hour, so we can just finish it
Right. Yeah.
right there, and then we can move on.
Okay.
So okay,
This doesn't
it's really
become
good.
a stress point in your life. It doesn't disrupt everything. We want
Right.
to seamlessly fit it in. So now the question is, last thing before you go, your overview takeaway of this particular takeaway session.
Mhm. Oh man, I took a lot of notes. I really love being able to bounce ideas back and forth. Doing the repeat backs and then takeaways and then the takeaway of that takeaway and more repeat backs, that there is so much magic in that to me, and so many really interesting, cool things that come up and then tie together. That's really, really magical for me. And I just feel a huge sense of gratitude and humility and appreciation for both of you. I really appreciate your time, and I know how much effort and time has gone into this, and I so appreciate all of your input and thoughts and focus. So I really appreciate both of you. But I'm feeling so excited and really looking forward to digging into all of this. And I just feel really light and excited and happy. So I am so looking forward to all of this. It's amazing to me what things come up from, like Beena said, something that you perceive to be so simple on the surface, but there's so much depth to it, and it's really interesting what all comes up.
So we are looking for it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
And to be fully aware that actually we already know all of this.
Yes. Yeah. You're just kind of bringing it up. Yeah, bringing it out.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm facilitating awareness of what is already there.
Yeah, I love that.
And you too. We are all facilitators in this.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I love it. All right.
Thank you so much, Erika. It's really lovely.
And the two words that I want to leave on are appreciation and exhilaration.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. Exhilaration. Yeah.
Exhilarating. What we are doing is exhilarating. Yes.
It is.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, we are doing that.
Thank you both so much. I appreciate
it. Thank you.
See you tomorrow. What time? Tomorrow, more or less?
9 o'clock.
9.
Oh, fantastic. That's 8 o'clock our time. Oh, that's fantastic. That's beautiful.
That would be really great. Yes. Okay.
Thank you so much. I will talk to you both tomorrow.
Yes.
Oh, yes, tomorrow.
Right. Bye.
I'll be waiting.
End meeting. End meeting. Oh, end meeting.